speeds of opponent, and he actually said that Gael Monfils was the best athlete out there on the tour, which I was quite surprised about. I thought he might say, you know, Novak Djokovic or even Roger Federer, but no, he said Gael Monfils was the fastest player out there on the tour.
Well, it's amazing as well, Monfils on the clay. You get the feeling he could slide from Paris to Saint-Tropez. I mean, it's just staggering how he moves around the court. So the remaining first round in the 21st edition of the ATP World Tour 500 Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Championships. 9 of the last 10 years voted the best in its class by the players. Llodra won the spin of the coin. He's up against Tsonga for a 7th time. He's never beaten him. And he'll begin.
Well, I think we're going to have pretty short, sharp rallies in this match. Llodra, a little bit different the way he constructs his points. Attacks the net on every opportunity. Serve volleys as well.
It's a beautiful action, isn't it?
Fairly short point.
Always said it, but when you look to serve and volley, it seems to help all the technique and rhythm of the serve. Djokovic is leaving the house.
You can really hear it from centre court here. A lot of fans wherever he goes in the world now. Thousands of kids wanting his autograph. Sort of rock star, superstar status, isn't it?
Super opening game, the love game. Llodra really struggled when he arrived here, having won Marseille singles and doubles. Annabelle a couple of years ago, and of course Tsonga, he won there this last weekend, so it could be a slow start for Tsonga. That might help Llodra.
Yeah, it might, because as we know, even with Del Potro, what he said at the end of his match today against Baghdad, is just really difficult to get used to these conditions. Try and hold the ball on the strings, not let the ball fly around too much. They're itching to get on with this, no faffing about. I don't think this is going to be a match with rallies, is it?
No, I think he'll be needing to chip and charge and make Tsonga pass him all night, as well as the serve and volley. Yeah, I'm with you. Particularly off the second serve. It'll be interesting to see if Llodra does that straight away. Whether he looks to get into the point and then find a way in.
Well, he was trying to, wasn't he? He was trying to take that at the top of the bounce and really take the ball as early as he can. I love watching the angles he produces at the net and the net skills. And the first game took a minute. It's not going to be much more than that for this one.
A little bit longer than Tipsarevic and Davydenko at the start of the day. Wow.
Well, that was breathtaking. Kind of a throwback, isn't it, to old-style tennis, this, the single-handed backhand. Launched himself at that one.
Well, he's looking to chip and charge again there, wasn't he, Annabelle?
1 game on.
Well, there's so few players that play like that. Funny enough, Roger Federer was doing so much of that last night, wasn't he? He really wasn't willing to stay at the back and rally, and it was unusual to see him trying to chip and charge and get in as much as he was, but it just gives opponents a totally different look at the ball, and they have to react quickly. It's a different mindset having to come up with a passing shot so early in the rally.
Roger Rashid looks fit enough to play the tour, doesn't he? He's a fitness fanatic, and that's what was so good for Hewitt, was so good for Monfils potentially, and will be for Tsonga too. He leaves no stone unturned in preparing his man. And he leads by example.
About 15. About 30.
So Llodra under pressure here.
Well, he was in the right place.
15, 30.
Jo-Wilfried always looks so springy on a court, doesn't he? He always looks like he's got so much lift off those feet. Played basketball well, I'm sure. Clubbing the ball.
14.
It's looking sharp out here right from the start.
To get an early break against a man you beat 6 times out of 6, it really does put a dent in this man's belief, surely.
Oh, did well to get out of the way of that, Tsonga.
Yes. And he does get the early break to lead 2-1 after 6 minutes. Yes, the worst possible start for Llodra, really.
Yeah, I mean, you can see right from the start here what he's trying to do. He's just going to be aggressive. He'll look for the net at every single opportunity, but just got that completely wrong. And I just feel like Joe's come out here really ready. I remember him at the O2 when he reached the finals last year. Sorry, not 2012, 2011. And it was so interesting. I was down backstage outside the locker rooms, and Federer went off to the gym moments before going out onto centre court. And Joe went out for a second practice session and just started bombing serves down, so that when he came out onto the court, that serve was absolutely firing. And he certainly looks ready and raring to go now. Mind you, he was only eating about sort of 45 minutes ago.
Really?
Yeah. Saw him in the restaurant taking some food on board.
I'm sure many will come back after Djokovic's match to watch this match. Tsonga is a crowd puller. Was the name in Australia 5 years ago, all the way to the final. All the Cassius Clay connotations and so on, the victory sort of jig at the end of his matches when he wins. ATP World Tour is certainly better off with him fit and raring to go. Suffered with injuries. It's a big frame to hurl around the tennis court. Roger Rashid will surely help on that front. Got the break. 2-1 Tsonga first set.
14, 15.
208 Ks. It looked effortless. There's your better half in the front there, Annabelle.
Do you know, I didn't even spot him. Thought he was over at the player party.
3-1 Tsonga, first set.
Tsonga.
This is a very pacey match, isn't it? When you think 31 minutes for 2 games with Davydenko. 10 minutes for 4.
And Llodra really hasn't settled yet. His father was a pro footballer, played for Paris Saint-Germain for 4 years. And of course, David Beckham just signed for Paris Saint-Germain.
15 off. $13, 15.
Really lent on that backhand return, didn't he? Does such a good job. Really getting that body weight going forward into that shot.
Stays tight on the scoreboard, Llodra. 2-3, first set. Talked about Llodra's connection. Tsonga was born in Le Mans. Famous for a couple of things, primarily. 24-hour car race. Did you know a pork meat pate? Evidently a delicacy in Le Mans.
That's it.
Yeah.
Interesting fact.
Bit of useless information.
Yeah.
But he's a beast, isn't he, Tsonga?
Well, he's just so physically strong, isn't he? He can, you know, he's feared by every player out there. I know Federer really finds him very difficult to play just because he said sometimes when he's on fire, you don't have any say in the points. You really have no way of controlling what's going on because he's so physically strong and can really just take charge and start blasting his way through a match. And it's very exciting to watch. What an athlete.
New set of ball boys and girls. Tsonga 3-2, the break first set. Against his partner to the silver medal last year at the London Olympics. They were absolutely thrilled, beaten by the Bryan brothers.
Well, what an achievement as well. You can never take that away from them. They'll have that for the rest of their lives. Something to tell the grandchildren. What an exciting moment that was for them both. A shared experience.
I wonder if they carry them around in their tennis bags.
Bit risky.
They're in frames already on a wall somewhere.
Yeah, hopefully.
With the shirts they played in.
15 off.
It's very controlled aggression out here from Tsonga at the moment. Not too wild or erratic, it's very contained. Totally different service motion to Federer's, isn't it? We talked about Federer's yesterday. He just goes straight into the knee bend and straight up, whereas he rocks back. Builds the tempo and yet cuts short the swing, doesn't he? He sort of rocks back into it, transfers the weight onto that back foot, and yet then abbreviates the swing.
Yeah. Feared for Llodra there for a second.
Look at here, the starts on the front foot, rocks back, and then abbreviated swing right there.
Yeah, it's very effective though, isn't it?
But it is, it certainly gets some power. Everybody has a different service motion. Llodra's struggling to get hold of that ball.
It's a fingerprint, the serve, isn't it? No two are the same.
No, not at all, and the rhythms are all different. Whatever works, actually. How to maximise the power out of your body and your shoulder. He's already walking.
They were cupping hands in the royal box until Llodra went on a stroll. 4-2 Tsonga.
From the early evidence of, you know, having worked with Roger Rashid since October, it seems to be a very good combination, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And I think for the locker room too, there's been no doubting the talent, the power, the capability, but the injuries that have been prone and the mental side of it as well. If you get even more fit, you become mentally tougher too. It's a good move for the locker room. Respect.
Yeah, that was one of the first things he was going to target, wasn't it? Getting fitter, faster, more agile. Yep, made it.
Sampras Agassi, they were great watches, weren't they? The serve and volley against the passer. It's fun watching the battle.
Well, here on the back foot, actually his weight transference is going backwards into the corner as he played that, but used the wrist to flick it back into play.
He's played quite a lot of single-handed rolled backhands, hasn't he, Tsonga, in the last year or so?
He has. I'm not quite sure what that was all about because, you know, there's no question the double-hander is the better shot, but I think he just enjoys playing it, having a go at it.
Fabulous. He learnt the art of serve and volley. As a teen, he practiced with Georges Denyu, who was coach of Guy Forget and Jacob Hasset of France and Switzerland. Who taught him to serve and volley. It's effortless, isn't it? I mean, look at that. He's challenged. 212 Ks is 132 miles an hour if it's in. And it is. Tsonga waiting for the towel. Has he forgotten it's change of ends? I think he has. He's standing there waiting for the balls. He's jet lagged from Marseille. Whoops.
I think it's because the games are going so quickly. It's 18 minutes and we've played 7 games.
But it's almost like, where am I? What day is it? It's a tough tour. But Annabelle, talk us through this service action again.
Well, there you can see racket and ball together, weight completely on that front foot, transferring that weight, but then that very quick abbreviation of the swing brings the back foot up and then launches straight up into it. You can see both feet really up after that ball. the racket head speed always comes from that acceleration behind the head, doesn't it? But it's a very sort of uncomplicated motion. As we were saying yesterday with Roger Federer's service motion, he just stands there with 2 feet in the sort of wide base, just straight into the knee bend and straight up into it. No transference. Well, he sort of rocks a little bit, actually, doesn't he, with his back foot?
That's stunning, isn't it, that view? The new hotel on the right there that's now completed, was completed in July last year. Jumeirah Creekside Hotel, which houses all the officials, the players. Just a short stroll from your bedroom and you're here. Fabulous facilities. New balls in play. Tsonga 4-3. Anything you can do.
He's kind of muscling his way through this service game, isn't he? And again, just so physically imposing on a tennis court.
Yeah. They're still there, Roger.
He's still got those dumbbells in his imagination. Maybe not over yet.
It's a long look at the line. That's a lovely reaction. Yeah. They're replaying it though. Will he go the same way? Wow, then the double fault. He's smiling now.
Oh, that's a lack of concentration, isn't it? Letting him back in here.
Boy, oh boy. A capitulation. Little look towards Mohamed Layani. It's put him completely off his stride. It's 4-all now, first set. He's still engaging in points of view.
I believe it. How I remember it, it was like...
He called it as he saw it, Mohamed Layani. He's not best pleased, Tsonga.
he was still talking about that particular moment. It just showed you why he was affected on the serve. The 2 double faults, clearly it was still in his head, wasn't able to put it behind him.
And that's where Roger Rashid has really got to tighten him up and not allow that to affect him. Because if you're talking about playing at the majors and something like that gets in the way against the very best players, you've got no chance.
Yeah, it has to be put in the past, doesn't it? So every single time you walk up to the next point, you're playing at that moment, in that moment, and anything behind, you can't change.
And the French are desperate for a man to win a major. Yannick Noah the last, the French Open in '83. Many have knocked on the door, got to finals.
It's a very good serve. He's got a sprinting step now, being let back into this first set.
Tsonga is the most likely of all the French to win a major.
I think so, definitely, because of his power and his athletic ability and his dangerousness on a court. Like that.
Yeah, talk of the devil. He obliges.
30.
That's a clever serve, isn't it?
14-30.
Mixing it up well out here. Giving Tsonga a different look all the time, keeping him guessing.
Okay. 5-4 Llodra. First set. As much as I talked about Troitsky, the delight, the sort of heroic welcome he got by winning the Davis Cup, the 5th and final rubber for Serbia. This man Llodra, who played in that 5th rubber against Troitsky, what a chance for such a huge moment. He'll still, I'm sure, look back and say, I played in that 5th rubber and have, well, only he knows the sort of memories he'll have on it, but it's an amazing thing about sport, isn't it? You can have such euphoric sort of scenes on one side and such disappointment on the other.
Yeah, and I think as you get older, some of that mental baggage is sort of stored in there and it kind of reappears its ugly head sometimes at key moments in matches going forward. But, well, it was their fellow teammate, wasn't it? Paul-Henri Mathieu, who lost that 5th and deciding set rubber to win the Davis Cup or to lose the Davis Cup all those years ago, and it was almost something that affected him for the majority of his career, to be honest.
As my mother used to say, turn your money over, full moon. I think the cameraman's doing just that. He's reaching into his pocket.
The moon's moving.
I've got 3 daughters, it doesn't take me long. So it was all looking pretty good for Tsonga. 4-2 up. Now serving to stay in this opening set at 4-5.
Yeah, the pace has slowed down somewhat, hasn't it? I think both of them getting involved a little bit more in the service games as well. They were racing through the early part of this set.
Oh, they don't make points like that anymore. Annabelle Croft is applauding in the commentary box, and I think the people on the court should be standing up. Some of them are. That was unique.
Well, that was just special, wasn't it? Because this volley right here was absolutely fantastic. Knifed that volley back behind him, got something on him. That's a fantastic volley skills there. And then the flick of the wrist and the athletic ability and the change of direction from Tsonga. That was an amazing point. He's almost McEnroe-like, the way he sets up for his ground strokes, Llodra. Very short take back. He kind of just, not a very full swing, is it? It's just sort of bunts it back the way McEnroe used to step in and close in and try and get into the net. I'm sure he's modelled himself a little bit on the way McEnroe.
See it, yeah. And McEnroe's volleys, he almost sort of jackknifed away from them, didn't he? But brilliant at it.
30-15.
Llodra's tailor-made for the seniors too. He's got a wonderful sense of humour.
Yeah, he really has. Great attitude.
I don't want to age him, but he's 32. He's young. So it would be great for it.
Oh, that was another very good point. Tsonga not panicking, not rushing from the back of the court. I mean, he was under immense pressure there. Held his ground. Came up with a good lob. It was not an easy point.
Okay. Tsonga.
5-all first set.
Well, he had to be really disciplined in that last game, didn't he? Take extra care over every single point. It's the only sort of weakness, I would say, in Tsonga's game, is just sort of sometimes sort of the concentration and the focus just sort of evaporates for a moment, doesn't it? And all of a sudden sets can be turned.
Tsonga hardly moved. I hadn't got a clue where that was going. 201 Ks. 125 miles an hour.
That's 3 very quick points. Racing through this game. Serving's going up a couple of notches, isn't it?
So clever.
14-15.
Very versatile with the wrist here, Jo-Wilfried. That was a little bit short, but tricky to deal with. And that one just kicked off to the left as it bounced.
Llodra.
That's a good hold from Llodra.
6-5.
Takes a 6-5 lead. First set back to the chair.
Start, please.
Covers the court so well, Llodra.
Well, there you can see the body weight shifting all the way, the time inside the court, isn't it? Up on his toes, looking to come in. And that's very imposing and intimidating when you see him up at the net. He's got good wingspan and a lot of energy around that net.
It was a good get, wasn't it, that one?
It was a good get.
Look at the eyes, wide open, split steps, feet forever bouncing up and down. Mon Dieu.
Very competitive first set. It's very entertaining for the crowd to watch as well, and they've all stayed. Most of these people here early on in the afternoon, and very few of them have left.
All ages. He looks a little past his bedtime though, the eyes fixed. It's going to break some hearts, I think.
Time.
So for the second time, Tsonga serving to stay in this opening set. brilliant. And underlining Annabelle's point about the short swings.
Well, he just cuts time out, doesn't he, and takes time away from you.
Anything short's getting hammered.
13-15.
Racing to a breaker. Well played. They've played two breakers before. Tsonga's won both, and the second one was obviously here 3 years ago. 11-9, and then left hamstring of Llodra after his efforts in Marseille, winning singles and doubles. He had to quit in the match. Double faultitis, isn't it?
Yeah.
2 in the game when he got broken back. 40-15 to Juice.
Came up with the goods when he needed it, though.
On the line, maybe Llodra looking for the call. A tie-break it is. Who's your dirham on here, Annabelle?
Well, I think I'm going to go with Tsonga, but I'm not 100% confident about it because of the way that Llodra pressurises opponents, and it just takes one mini break, doesn't it, to be able to cause a lot of problems. And actually, I think he's been serving better and better as this first set's unfolded.
Balls down, please. Balls down. Come.
Tough to get the balls at the right end very quickly in a breaker. That's an unbelievable return.
He did so well to get his racket out of the way, prepared here, just a flick of the wrist, but look at that. Tsonga can't do anything with that. Can't even get the racket back in time.
2-1.
It was like a hammer blow, wasn't it?
215 Ks, that is 134 miles per hour.
Massive.
Player party's getting going.
Well, he's missed a couple of returns where I think he had a play on it, but just hasn't been able to control the racket head. Some pretty high bouncing sort of kick off the court here from Llodra.
Oh, it's a great shimmy from Llodra. Maybe Tsonga took his eye off the ball there.
Llodra.
It was almost like a goalkeeper, wasn't it, on a penalty kick? I wasn't sure if this sort of play was allowed, but I guess it is.
Brilliant.
Down, down, down. Down, please.
Well, he did well to come up with that because he couldn't have been pushed further into that corner. Llodra already closing down the angle there. No matter how many times he gets past, he will still continue with the tactic.
Yeah, he'll just find a way of stopping it happening, won't he, or look to. Vary the serve a bit more and change it up a bit. The approach too.
Oh, I thought he
it's off the top of the frame. And it went in.
Not sure how he controlled that.
Llodra.
Oh, he's looking at the frame.
Amazing. Well, he was given the whole racket. I suppose he might as well use it all.
Oh, that came right out of the top part of the racket, didn't it?
Box.
Close.
When Mohammed shouts out like that, you sort of take it, don't you?
You believe it, don't you?
Mm.
Walkai tells us it was out. Super wrong footer.
5-3.
Well, he's running out of time now in this tie break, isn't he? To try to get that mini break back again. Just that one return of serve from Llodra, where he got timing spot on. Might make all the difference in this tie break. Well, he played that smash from 3/4 of the way back on that court and really got the racket head through.
What do you think of the one he missed earlier on in the match?
Llodra.
That first volley was quality as well, wasn't it? It's always about the depth of that first volley and what you put on the ball.
So 3 set points for Mikhail Llodra. I mean, he does apologise for sort of a little bit of showboating, but what a super point to end the first set with. 7-6, Llodra.
7-6. Yes, nice man, can you go?
Fabulous last point.
That was really fun. I mean, it's always fun to watch, isn't he? I don't think I've ever sat and watched a Llodra match without being entertained by the tennis that he puts out there. And the 4 double faults fairly costly for Tsonga, of course, when he was trying to close out the first set and got broken back, didn't he? So first serve percentage a little bit higher from Llodra at 73%. Break points both 1 apiece. But total points, hardly anything in it, just 2 points difference, 40 to 38. But honestly, it just came down to that one return of serve in the tiebreak for me. And a lack of concentration on that serving game from Tsonga, where he thought he'd actually closed out the game and wanted to be given that point and then had to replay it and serve the 2 double faults. In terms of the weapons that Llodra brings out onto a court, he really brought everything out tonight.
Great last point of the set. Here's the showboating. Well, actually, it wasn't. Looking at it from that angle,
He was trying to rebalance himself, wasn't he?
he was. And he apologised to Tsonga, but here's the cat's reaction. Llodra's, that is. First set in the bag.
Yeah, probably, yes. Tough.
It's only the second set that Llodra has wrestled away from Tsonga. And I know I'm harping on about it, but when he made the final and won both singles and doubles in Marseille, Llodra, in 2010, he did arrive very jaded, and maybe Tsonga, because of winning, it's the euphoria of being the champion, maybe it's a little flat, perhaps.
Oh, I think that definitely can always happen, and I think you can be very jaded. It's pretty hard to pick yourself up and suddenly get used to different conditions, different balls, different atmosphere, outside from indoors.
So there's the players' party. We'll be heading there after this match.
I think we might have to wait a while, do you think?
I think we might. But they put on such a great show in every sense. But the player party is very special. It's your husband strolling in now in the green jumper there. We've spied him. He's left the royal box, and I hope he's looking for a spare seat at the table, Annabelle, and nothing more than that.
Yes, I hope so. Checking out all the food, I think.
I think the belly dance has been and gone, don't worry.
Yeah.
Change of shirt off the court for both men. Oh, lots of dads here this week, players. Davydenko has been a great dad around the pool before his match, half an hour before he came on court, straight afterwards. My wife had a chat with his wife at the pool, and she mentioned just what an amazing father he is.
I can imagine that.
Yeah.
He is so, you know, I think when he was up at the top in the world, and people used to give him such a hard time for saying he was boring, and not interesting as a tennis player. And yet every time I ever interviewed him, he's just so much fun. He's got a real sense of humour, a twinkle in his eyes, a real entertainer off the court, actually, and he's so kind.
He's one of those best players not to have made a major final.
But he's a really kind-hearted person. I can imagine him being a great dad.
So what's Tsonga got left? To set down, having been a break-up first set to Llodra as he begins the second.
Oh, that's an amazing angle of that return serve. I haven't seen one of those for the whole duration of this match so far. Look at that, totally different. Took all the pace off that ball, still took it high on the bounce.
No apology, totally meant.
He's probably used that one quite a few times in all those doubles matches he's played. That's why he's so skilled, isn't he? To adapt to situations.
Lefties just seem to have that knack of making shots look easy too, don't they? Like that. He gets a break early here, Llodra. This match could go away from Tsonga pretty quickly.
Thank you.
cover a lot of ground here, Llodra, didn't he? Way behind the baseline. But Tsonga, having nearly mishit that absolute sitter over the top of the net, took extra care on that one.
Left.
Made it.
Use.
Jo-Wilfried will be still demanding 100% from Tsonga.
Oh, that's a great serve. And he created a lot of angle off that serve. Not racing through the service games like they were at the start of the match. They were going through them in about a minute and a half, weren't they? And now being pushed back to juice a few times.
Well, he's keeping Tsonga waiting. Just a reminder, 25 seconds between points. If the receiver makes the server wait beyond that, they get warned. If they do it again, they immediately lose the point. And thereafter the same. Brilliant. Very deep and then very short.
Well, Llodra looking at Leani there, not sure about that one on the baseline. He almost hesitated and thought about questioning it. Well, I've been told it was in. So if he had stopped the point, it would have been a disaster.
Okay. Tsonga.
Tsonga holds at the start of the second set with ace number 4. Yes, and just again a reminder that I talked about the returner. If you as server go over the 25 seconds, you'll get a warning. Do it again, you lose the right to have a first serve, so you just go to a second serve, and that again remains the punishment thereafter.
So I wonder what happens if you're the receiver and you don't play to time.
Yeah, as I said, it's you get warned. Then you lose the point.
Oh, you lose the point.
And
okay.
thereafter,
okay.
it's the same thing all the time. You lose the point.
Okay, it's confusing. So as the server, you just lose the first serve, but as a receiver, you actually lose the point on the second after the warning. An amazing first volley.
15 all.
That is a superb first volley, isn't it? Played off the service box, which is never easy, and still managing to get a lot of pace on that ball. It's a better return from Tsonga.
Well, he's racking it up again, isn't he?
15, 30.
Again, looking at the line, not convinced, but no challenge. Unofficially with Hawkeye, for our benefit. He's in.
40-30.
3 points in a row for Llodra to level at 1-1 second set.
1 game on.
So he doesn't look like someone will have the demeanour of someone who hasn't beaten him in 6 previous attempts. He's sort of come out all hustling, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He looks like a real believer.
Yeah, he does. Positive game plan. Keeping up the intensity. I guess 2 out of the 6 were actually via retirement.
Yeah.
And one of them, for the retirements, was a close 3-setter. Rotterdam, I think it was. Oh. 3 of them, actually. 3 out of the 6 were from retirement. Well, that was a very short second serve. That got the treatment, didn't it?
He started a foundation, Tsonga, Attrape le Balle. It provides underprivileged children in the Congo with access to sports facilities. So a single-hander. And again, just missing this one. I just think he's on the edge here, Tsonga, of how much he wants to really fight for this match.
You know, I was just about to say that it feels to me like his energy levels have just plummeted a little bit.
The perfect time for Llodra to get the break. Going back to that foundation, it's great when players, the charisma and the star appeal of Tsonga gives a lot back. Things that are close to them. Federer is just amazing, the amount of charity work and work he does around the world, but particularly South Africa.
And Djokovic too, actually. He was honoured, wasn't he, at the Albert Hall in December. Oh. Sure about that.
Tsonga changed the call.
Well, this would be really frustrating if the call is wrong, because Llodra was going to win that point and might end up having to replay it. And he will. That is really frustrating.
Llodra's given the line judge a bit of an old-fashioned look.
Well, because he was going to win it anyway. Oh, my goodness.
Men can multitask. Hot dog and a challenge at the same time.
Well, he's definitely just going off the boil a bit here. You can just sense it. The energy levels are dropping rapidly.
I wonder what Roger Rashid is thinking right now, if we're right. Because he really is just starting to play at around 50%.
Well, you can sense it with the serve as well. He's taking quite a lot off that first serve, spinning it into play.
Look at Rashid, he's getting a bit twitchy. He's urging Tsonga on. It's given him scratches. Well, it is the perfect time to break. He's got his man down. He looks dejected. He looks beat. Set 2-1.
Blame me. Yeah, blame me. I don't like
This is where times changed too. Players not that long ago, there wasn't anywhere near the sort of riches in the game. Had just won a title, they'd be going off to the next tournament full of confidence and ambition. And the champion here is going to win $429,600. It's a huge event, huge prize money. And I think Roger Rashid, well, he wants 100%. He demands it from himself. And that's when you demand it from yourself, you can demand it with whoever you work with.
Well, I agree with you, and I think it's almost as if that situation in that first set, I don't know what he's talking to Roger Rashid or whether he's talking to himself here. He's having a long chat with himself, but he's still not got over that situation in the first set, has he?
I think it's still in his mind.
He ended up
perhaps
serving the 2 double faults.
Magnificent bird of prey, falcon. In the players' party, get your glove on and have a hold. Camel rides and henna tattoos. Stunning bird. Just helping out, getting the balls down the other end. Llodra in the driving seat at a set 2-1. He's probably never going to have a better chance than to beat his mate in singles than right here, right now.
How many you got?
All the balls now sorted. New balls in play. Well, that sums everything up really for Tsonga. I'd like to see Roger Rashid's reaction after that point as well. What is this?
That's almost more difficult to do that shot than it was the actual proper forehand. Well, his concentration has just gone completely astray, hasn't it?
Well, he's as free as the bird we've just seen.
15.
Once the chain and the hood's come off the bird, that is.
It's not easy when you're playing someone who suddenly has just released a whole bunch of pressure. They're sort of just free-flowing down the other end. They look unfazed by what's going to happen with the scoreline, because to me, I think Tsonga's just kind of throwing it at this match now, isn't he? He's just sort of throwing caution to the wind, going to be very loose. He's spinning balls into play. It's almost as if, well, whatever happens, happens, but I'm just going to just free hit out here.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to play against. Got to keep your level of intensity up down the other end and forget what's going on down the opposite.
Yeah. Especially when you've not beaten your opponent. And you know, this is a big, big win. Tsonga's ranked 8th in the world. Llodra's 78 in the world this year, so this would really help him out.